I basically got robbed by the Hobbit squad, okay? I got fucking mugged by 3, like, dudes who, standing on each other's shoulders, might have been as tall as me, with a broken piece of glass as a knife. Alright guys, welcome back to another monthly GroundUp. This is the series where Nas and I go over some cool shit that happened in the month. It is the month of April. It's been a really busy month for like events and interesting things happening within the scene. So Nas and I are going to break down some of the more interesting things that we've seen happening this month, some of the things that you guys have suggested to us, and some of the things that we've been keeping track of ourselves. Nazi boy, how you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm alive. doing things and surviving.
It's been a really wholesome month. And obviously, as we always start off with the show, we talk about shows that we've been to. So I saw that you went to the National Breakdown one. I saw that you got some footage there. I feel like that was the main sort of show this month. So how did it go? It was a very stellar lineup. I know that No Closure was there, Sunken States and Cost. How was the whole experience?
Yeah, dude. So I was super keen to go to that show because Matt Gracie, or commonly just known as Gracie, is living in the Netherlands at the moment. So whenever he comes to South Africa or comes back to South Africa, they try and just pump out a bunch of shows. And they just decided to do a full like national tour across the country. I got to catch the last show of that tour at the Irish in London, and holy shit, that was Milky Skies, Sunken State, No Closure, Facing the Gallows, and I feel like I'm missing someone for some reason, but no, it was 4 bands. Four bands? Yes. And holy shit, what an evening of bands just delivering stupidly good sets. There was an unfortunate incident leading up. I don't know if you heard about it, what happened to Aiden, the drummer of Facing the Gallows. I don't know if I'm sure you saw the posts. We shared this on the Sludge Stories. Where the drummer of Facing the Gallows had quite literally all of his drum gear, along with all of the new Facing the Gallows merch, stolen out of his car. And that was absolutely devastating. That boy still showed up, though, and he still played a stupidly good set after having basically his entire livelihood stolen from him. We'll probably just, drop a link here or like a place to go check out. There is a back buddy up for Aiden, because drumming is his livelihood. It's how he makes his living. So if you could support the boys, help them out, that would be absolutely amazing. But back to like the good news, that show was unfucking believable, dude. Like the energy, that crowd was too big for that room. I remember getting manhandled in that pit because there was just not enough space to try and get in there with a camera. There were a couple of times that I just got fucking abused from behind. As pause, but there was a point where Paige was standing in front of me. Now you need to understand that Paige is like 5 foot like 1 or some shit. She's tiny, and the next thing I know, I'm just fucking falling over, and this poor girl is trying to like stop me from falling. So thank you, Paige, for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's obviously that picture. Did you see the picture that fucking Sean from No Closure was like when Regan takes his shirt off and it's just my face? Did you see that?
No,
Hold on.
No.
Wait a second. You can pop it up on screen, but so it's like this crowd shot, right? This fucking crowd shot of like the crowd at Gallows, okay? And it just zooms in to my face.
Please put that on the screen, dude. We need to see it. It's beautiful.
Oh god, the amount of stickers of my face that are around on the internet. But yeah, dude, like it was just unbelievable amount of chaos, especially considering how rough the night started off. You know, considering how tired all the boys were from having just jetted around the country for a week.
Yes. Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable, stellar fucking show. I had a blast, dude. Yeah.
Nice, bro. I'm a bit bummed that Durban was left out, considering it was the national, the national part of it. But
national tier.
at the same time, Yeah, I mean, at the same time, we can be happy for for the other provinces and everyone who actually got to go to these shows, bro. It's absolutely brilliant. It looks, I mean, from the photos,
I mean, PE got a show. Like,
but it must have been like a logistics thing, bro. I know that sometimes it's a bit of a mission moving up and down. So hopefully next time they can come down to Durban. But it's also nice to see that everyone enjoyed themselves in each of the places that they went to. I think it shows the caliber of the bands that we're dealing with here as well, man. You know, when you mentioned the drummer of Gallows as well being able to play through, dude, I'm pretty sure he was glum as hell as a result of that. I don't think I would have had it in me to even continue, but the fact that he was able to push forward, absolutely incredible stuff.
I would have been in the fetal position, crying. I think I told him that actually. Like, I would have, but yeah, I would not have been in any state like to do anything, dude. And I don't even have gear that
Yeah.
totals 200k. Like, I, dude, sorry, fuck, it's on an entirely other level. And then it's also not my livelihood. So yeah. Did you hit any shows this month, dude? I'm actually not sure.
I don't think I actually did, bro. I mean, it's just been a very busy month on my end in terms of school. There's just been so many tests, and it was just one that required that I sort of, you know, focus a bit more on that. But I have been privileged enough to, like, thank goodness for things like social media as well, because we're able to see so much, you know, what is happening without having to sort of go out. You know, we're able to support, you know, from our homes as well, which obviously leads me to something that was actually special. It was a music video release by Marshmallow, which was a highlight for me this month, bro. Like, being able to see something that was shot by Kaylee as well. I think she's one of my, when it comes to music videos, I think she's one of my favorites in the country. Just the quality of the stuff that she shoots is absolutely beautiful. So there's a lot of pink in the music video, and it's obviously, I think Gareth is also featured on the song as well. So it's nice to see that sort of, you know, collab going on there. And yeah, what did you think of the music video, man? If you've seen it.
Yeah, dude, the music video is actually sick. I was actually watching it today, funny enough, because Marshmallow also happened to win their Viking heat and going through to the finals. So
Oh,
I ended up just I was watching that today as well, and yeah, dude, I agree with you 100% about the comment about Kaylee being one of the greatest, like one of the coolest like videographers in the scene. She's definitely one of my favorites because that video is so cool, dude. It's so cinematic. I love the rat having, because obviously, you know, rat boy over here. Even though they're throwing hands, the rat the rat is derogatory in this term. I still like rats, man. And then obviously seeing them with their little pink inflatable guitars.
yeah, I think one of the things that I've also noticed with Kaylee, and I think it was in a photo that she posted, I think if I can find it, I'll probably put it on screen. But I noticed that she was using a Sony, and I don't know if that's either a Sony FX3 or an FX30, probably an FX3, because that's some pretty high end stuff. But obviously, the FX30 being my dream camera because I'm a broke boy, and if I were able to afford one, it would probably be that as opposed to an FX3. But I think, you know, Sony, really good cameras. And then when good gear meets, you know, talent and someone is really good at something that they do, the result is always impeccable. So I'm not surprised that this Marshmallow video looks as good as it does. You know, it's absolutely wild to me.
I was actually talking to her at the National Breakdown show, and you're right. It is an FX. It could be a 3 or it could be 30. I think it's a 3 because we were chatting about it, and I remember being like, I want one of those as well.
Do you know how much an FX3 costs, bro?
Wait, the FX3 is more expensive than the FX30. I forget this.
Yes, yes. The FX30 is an APS-C, so it's got a smaller sensor. The FX3 is a full frame. Let's see how much that costs. Sony FX3
It's a lot.
price. Dude, probably costs us. Okay, so here's one here for just the body, bro. It's anywhere between 76,000 rands and 90,000 rands. We'd have to sell kidneys, and yeah,
Everything,
we'd
dude.
need to sell kidneys and everything in order to be able to afford that. So that's just the body as well. So imagine with the lens, it's absolute death.
And I'm looking at a ZVE 10 being like, I can't afford 10 grand.
Yeah, bro, but we'll get there, bro, eventually.
I love how we started off as an audio only platform, and now the two of us are like, oh, camera this, camera that, and neither of us knows what the fuck we're talking about, but we're in it now. It's like it's the
Yes. Ah, dude, I have dreams of like the FX30. It's absolutely brilliant.
something I'm also excited for that Kaylee's working on as well is the Walk These Skies music video that is happening. I know the Walk These Skies boys have teased it on their socials a little bit. Um, that was I'm really looking forward to one the humor of the Walk These Skies boys. I don't think this is going to be a humorous like jokey
Yeah.
video. Them plus Kaylee is going to be very like interesting for me. Walk These Skies are currently my boys, my man wives. I love them to bits. So yeah. Actually, speaking of the Walk These Skies boys, I mentioned it in the last GroundUp because it was something that was coming up. But I attended Pray For Cyanide, which is their event. Pray For Cyanide Volume 2, and again, dude, holy shit, like the yes. These two shows that I was at this month, I haven't been to a lot of shows this month. It's been in a similar boat to you. It's been busy, it's been rough. But the two shows that I was at, holy fuck, dude. I got manhandled each time. Each time I got manhandled in pits. I sacrificed life and limb and risked a camera getting into the pits to get cool shots of people.
This actually reminds me of something, bro. I want to bring it up here because when you mentioned being manhandled, it reminds me of something that we actually received here from Alec. Shout out to Alec on Instagram. It's chaos.with.alec, right? So I put up like a one of those stories where people can comment on our Instagram during the week. And one I was asking basically what it is that we should cover, of the things that have happened this month. And when I posted the question in terms of what it is that we should talk about for this month's roundup, he posted something quite amusing. He mentioned the no closure curse. So I'm like, what is this, bro? And then he obviously got back to us. And he's saying, always in a no closure pit, someone gets their shit wrecked. Ramfest last year, someone cracked a rib. At Emberlith, someone broke their nose. And I saw Dwayne elbow the shit out of someone. Ooh, snitch. At Three Kings, someone cut their head open. I think I've seen one concert where no one got hurt, and that was the last one at Railways. At Irish, someone got hurt. I'm not sure who or how, though. So I'm not surprised when you say that, you got manhandled because of this alleged no closure curse.
There's a clip that I need to send you, dude, to put into specifically what I'm talking about now, because there was a Pray For Cyanide clip at Railways where I was standing on stage, and Esto turns around and he looks at me and he's got this like, what the fuck is going on look on his face. Like he's got this look of like, what the fuck have I started? Kind of like on his face.
Gosh.
Like he himself can't believe what people are doing. And it's fucking beautiful to me. But in the same breath, dude, actually speaking of that moment, another really fucking funny moment for me is, so Walk These Skies have got this thing going at their shows where people start rowboating in the crowd.
Start rowing, yeah.
So at Pray For Cyanide, just spontaneously, there ended up being like 7 rows or like 5 or 6 rows of people rowboating.
What?
Okay. 5 or 6 rows, like long rows of people rowboating, and you can hear Tristan like realize what's going on and cracking up and going, "What the fuck?" It's like one of my favorite fucking moments of a show ever.
Someone needs to sample that. Transitioning into another release, this was something that was put up by Manners Machine, which is a band that I know you're very fond of. This is a band that you started talking about back when, this podcast started, bro. And like I knew nothing of them. So my introduction to them was through you and the things that you'd mentioned about them. Towards, I think, the end of last month or just after you guys had done the GroundUp with Bryn, they released a single. So it's called The Right Words. Something that sounds really good, and I don't know if you have listened to it, but as a new release, maybe tell me a bit of something about Manners Machine, maybe from the memories that you have from back in the day as well.
Dude, Manners Machine is like one of my favorite local bands of all time. Like they were one of the first bands that I ever saw that was like, holy shit. I haven't listened to the new single as of yet, which you have now reminded me again, like as with Mouse, to go listen to. And now I can't remember for the life of me the name of albums now, but like there's a song called Man in the Mirror, and that's like one of my fucking jams. I think that one of the albums is called Force, or I'm not 100% sure, but dude, that band was like a fucking force of nature at one point. I remember times at the old Rumors out in Velterfreden Park where they had the second stage set up in the Palm Court Rumors. And I remember just being front and center, like at that show, fucking screaming along to some Manners Machine songs, and having Rob stand on my hand multiple times on the fucking railing because, he's he's a unit on stage. And yeah, dude, honestly, in my opinion, one of the best vocalists in the country. He is so fucking good. One of the coolest like stage
Yeah.
presences. I would love to go see Man as Machine again. I'm glad to see that they're back and getting into it. I actually had my mind blown about
Yeah.
Man as a Machine because, again, like I said, Man as Machine's been one of my favorite bands of all time. I had no idea that Rob was fucking Alex Wolf's brother.
Nice. What?
Like, I had no fucking idea. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, you should speak to my brother's band. They're releasing a new song." I'm like, "Sick, dude. What's your brother's band?" He's like, "Man as Machine." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "I thought you knew. Why did you think I was at all those shows?" It's like, "I don't know. I thought you just really liked the fucking band and you took photos of them a lot." And then I saw a picture of Rob, I think yesterday, with him talking about the release of the
Yeah.
single. And I was like, how the fuck did I never put two and two together? They look the fucking same. They're like, I'm just fucking stupid.
Oh,
Like,
dude. We need to see if we can get a photo of both of them up.
yeah, dude, it's embarrassing that I didn't actually fucking realize it. And this wasn't like a while back that I found out. This was like a month ago that I found out that they're brothers. I've known these two entities separately for like 10 years.
Marcel always coming through with a brilliant history there. It's so awesome. I think even back then it was such a wholesome experience learning and just hearing about some of the stories about Manners Machine from you. And then, 10 years later, we hear they release something. So, yeah, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, it's called The Right Words. Please do check it out. It's out on Spotify. It's out on all platforms. It's a pretty wholesome song. Marcy, I believe there's something super important that artists need to know about that's sort of been happening. You've got the lowdown on that.
Yeah, so recently saw that Stanley Sibande. If you don't know who Stanley is, he is a pretty well-known musician within the Cape Town scene. He has been doing like a bunch of really cool solo projects. He's been a guest on the show before, and he's also the bassist in a band called Dreadlines at the moment. The thing you need to know about Stanley is that he is very involved. He doesn't hold back. He speaks his mind, and he's very much on the side of like, he will do what's right. He will say what needs to be said. And recently he's been involved in launching a campaign called We Don't Play. And it is a month-long campaign that's going to be raising awareness for the working conditions of musicians in Cape Town. It's also going to mobilize support for their conditions of work. And it's a document created by and for musicians, outlining fair work conditions for music workers. The launch will culminate at a launch event that's going to be happening on Saturday, the 16th of May in 2026 from 12 to 6 p.m. at Nas, please repeat this name for me because I'm going to embarrass myself trying to say this even worse than I did with my Afrikaans, trying to read Afrikaans lyrics. Paniekbevange, angstig en alleen.
It's a Kokastebe. Yeah.
So it's going to consist of workshops, panel discussions, and performances by some of Cape Town's best live acts. So that's really interesting in regards of if you're in the know, if you're a musician, you will obviously know this. But for those who aren't in the know, musicians get fucked around a lot is the easiest way to say it. It's really difficult to set up terms. Sometimes it's extremely difficult to get payments. It can be a really, really shitty industry to try and get money out of. And people are always going to try and pay you as little as humanly possible, which is deeply unfair because you know what would life be without music? If you think about that for a second, everyone loves music, everyone appreciates it, but there are so many people who are so unwilling to pay for that time, that creativity, and that just the amount of effort that gets put into it. So that's definitely something that I think people should be on the lookout for and should be supporting. That's obviously an initiative that's not going to stay localized to Cape Town. It's going to spread. Hopefully, becomes a national thing. I think that is the end goal. We're going to have Stanley on the show some point later down the line to go in depth a little bit more about it, to talk about it some more. And yeah, that's an episode in the future you should be looking out for.
I think music in general is something that is super um, underrated because it's almost taken for granted in a way. I'm just thinking of how powerful it is, things that we sort of go through in history. Even during times of oppression, you'll find that things like songs and chants, often reminders of, overcoming and all that there, and the people that are responsible for making those, people that write film scores and all of that there. You often hear about people being, undercut in those areas and so on. Such an important thing, man. Even as like people that play video games, bro, I think it's one of the most important things in a video game is that you'll hear something from Skyrim. In fact, even with some of the reels that I make, I try to sometimes I'll sneak in something, maybe by like a Jasper Kid or something in there, sort of like to give it that nostalgic effect or whatever. But it's such an important thing, and musicians and anyone that is a creative in that sort of aspect or realm should definitely be getting their, what they deserve. So it's a really good movement. And if there are any links as well, I don't know if there are any links out for anything like that, but we'll probably put them in the description.
100%.
I do want to touch a bit on obviously some of the stuff that's been happening with us on the platform. This month we released 2 episodes. I dropped the Devon episode, Devon Phillips, and you obviously dropped the Luke one. How's that been for you, bro? How's the response been? For anyone who hasn't seen it, why should they check it out? What little nuggets did Luke leave in there for the people to check out?
I think the biggest one for me, like in terms of things that Luke had to say, was talking about like the sacrifice. Because my biggest thing that I've always been curious about with Volvadinia is how did a South African band manage to tour internationally the way that they have? He gave like a couple of things that obviously there was a certain aspect of like RNG that they definitely worked hard over the years with the band, but a big thing was you're going to have to drop, you're going to have to quit your jobs, you're going to have to do whatever. And not everyone's in a position to do that or is willing to even risk that. But if you are, it's something you can do. I mean, another prime example of who that has worked for is Rough Magic. You can ask the Rough Magic boys that same question, and they're probably going to give you a very similar answer. We've had the Rough Magic boys on here like twice before, and it kind of lines up. They bet everything on those international tours. Yeah, if you're going to do it, it's going to take time. It's going to take a sacrifice, and you're going to thug it out, basically. So
Yeah.
I think that was like the main thing that stuck out for me, is learning more about how they tour internationally, what it takes to do so, and what it's going to cost you.
A very beautiful episode for anyone who hasn't checked it out, dude. We should actually have like a segment on these where we read like comments from that and respond. But because I saw there was a lot of comments in there as well. Like people were recommending that you check out something by Chris. Like I'm seeing here, someone said, big Volvo fan, check out Chris Zen for lessons, mixing and mastering. Some real like solid plugging there. People coming through with solid receipts and so on. There's even a guy who shared a memory in that video, bro. He's like, yo, Luke, doubt if you remember, but we used to talk a lot on Twitter in like 2013, just before you started Volvo. We used to fuck with this Indonesian guy called Sexy Tang, LMAO. Dude, like you see things like that just popping up, bro, from an episode. It's so wholesome, dude.
Yeah, I think like the one where I got like the most like sort of like stories and wholesome like sort of feedback was where I was talking about the Afrikaans alternative scene and like going into the history there. And a lot of guys were just like, yeah, I was around during this time, check out these bands. And, or just dropping stories of like crazy shit that happened to them at like a Battery show or shit like that. And it's really cool to, engage with people these ways. These are complete strangers who we've either sparked a memory for them or, have learned an entirely like new aspect of that history or perspective of that history we otherwise wouldn't have known.
Yeah, definitely. The Devon one is one that I thoroughly enjoyed making as well. You know, we spoke a bit about Pinetown. You know a lot about Pinetown. In fact, there was a comment. There was a
You
comment
spoke
on
about my mugging.
yes, on TikTok where I got into this like full on conversation with the dude that used to work at the FNB near Hill Street by McDonald's, and I was just talking to him about how he was mentioning how it's literally it depends on which side of Pinetown you're in, and I immediately thought of you and the taxi rank, and that was hard. I don't know if people know the story, dude. Do you care to share it?
Yeah, dude. So there was a point in time where I did not have a working car, and my I worked for a little place called Capitec Bank, and the only way for me to get to work was to catch taxis, and the nearest taxi rank to me was Simunye, which is right there in the heart of Pinetown. The last place you would probably expect to see someone like me walking around in a bank uniform, but you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills, right? So one evening, this was about 3-4 months that I had to catch taxis to work and back, and just around in general. So liberating experience. Um, but yeah, I was walking home from Simunya. I lived about what, like 5 k's, maybe not even from Simunya. It was like 4 blocks away, I think. And like a dipshit, I was walking with headphones in, and now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a really big dude. I'm like 6'4", and I basically got robbed by the Hobbit squad. Okay, I got fucking mugged by three like dudes who, standing on each other's shoulders, might have been as tall as me, with a broken piece of glass as a knife. And these three dudes just fucking surrounded me, rocked my shit, took my phone, and fucked off. Okay, I was pretty shook. I didn't get hurt. A really shitty Huawei phone wasn't worth my life at the time. But in hindsight, it was really funny having this dude like grab me by the shirt, but looking up at me with a fucking piece of glass. Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you don't give me your phone. So that, in hindsight, is a really funny memory. But that was really close to like Hill Street as well, kind of like adjacent to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the Home Affairs Road with it was by Planet Fitness basically, where I got fucking robbed.
That whole stretch there, dude, is a hotspot. That's like when people talk Pines. Like I know people that literally choose not to like take like branch off into that area, and they go through like the Knoll Spa where the Shell is and all that. There, that bridge is also bad, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of something a little safer, Venom is coming up this weekend. It's a show that's put together by the boys at Devilnest. Shout out to Burden, shout out Mike, and it's one that we're super excited about because there's actually a new venue that they're going to be using. One that I've actually had the privilege of actually going to. So it's called the Warehouse, and it's a venue that used to be predominantly like hip hop. From what I understand, and looking at the history of the Warehouse, back when Andile was here, even we went to the opening, the launch, and that's where we met Chris Snakes. If anyone hasn't listened to that Chris Snakes interview, go back to it. It's an audio one. One of the golden boys of hip hop here in Durban. If anyone is familiar with the likes of Lucas Raps and Blackie, Chris Snakes was right there with them, you know, near the beginning. Anyways, we sort of were there when it opened up all the way back. I think it might have been in 2016 around about, and it's always just been a hip hop thing. It was something that was sort of spearheaded by A1 Wolf. If you know Shakina, if you know all those guys in that circle, they were the people that were mainly there. Artists like Yashna, there was a point where there was even a recording studio there, and you got a lot of artists going there and sort of utilizing that space as a creative hub. It was actually something that was really solid for Durban. But then it started changing and it started hosting more corporate sort of gigs and all that there. And then eventually one day Mike hit me up and he was like, yo, dude, you know, let's go looking for venues. And this one popped up because I was like, hey, there's a place called, you know, the Warehouse. And we go there, and when we went there, I think it was closed at the time, or it had just been sold off to someone else. But you know, we couldn't really get in touch. So Mike saves the number, and we leave. And then fast forward a few months later, he hits me up. He's like, "Hey, dude, we got a hit. The guys from the Werehouse are keen." So we went there and we checked out the venue. It's still as solid as it's always been. There's an actual stage there. There's some nice sort of like LED backing. It's a super professional joint because we've had some of the biggest artists, at least hip hop artists in the country, go there. We even had, there's a guy, his name is Oliver Mdukozi. You need to check him out. He's a South African, or I think he's Zimbabwean, but in South Africa, he's an absolute legend. He played there once. We've had the likes of Shane Eagle play there. These are artists that are massive. Nasty C played there, when he was
Oh
doing the
shit.
Iverson
Okay.
tour. So that's how big, yeah, this is how big of a venue we like be talking about here. There's some cool facilities there. There's a VIP area. There's a bar. There's absolutely everything you need. So the stage is just one of the best. So I'm super excited to see, what the Devilnest boys have in store for this Venom one. So they're going to be bringing him and Nebula down as like the headliner, and it's a show that I'm really excited about. We've also made arrangements for quickies as well. Quickies are going to be back, so that is something to look forward to. If you are going to be coming to the event, come through. Let's have quickies and let's do this. It's a
Pause.
very big moment for Durban.
The Warehouse, not to be confused with the Westville Warehouse. I need to clarify that because I feel like a bunch of people are going to show up to the Westville Warehouse for a show that's not happening there. That needs to be fucking clarified. I find it so funny that there's like two venues that will accommodate bands in Durban, and both of them are like the Warehouse. That fucking fries me, dude. Durban and warehouses.
I think with this one, because as I mentioned, A1 Wolf, even the spelling is different. I think it was a play on like, werewolves. So instead of it being an actual warehouse like WAREHOUSE, this is like WEREHOUSE. So it's got like wolves and everything. It's a play on that. So yeah, definitely thank you for that clarification because I'm taking it for granted that this is a venue that I know. But yeah, there's also safe parking outside as well. It's actually opposite the ICC.
Yeah.
So Venom is happening tomorrow evening, Thursday evening, and because the following day is obviously part of a long weekend. So if you are going to be in Durban tomorrow evening, do come through for Venom. It's going to be an absolute blast.
I am going to be at Misty Waters Festival this coming weekend. That's happening from the 30th to the 1st of May. And that's going to be pretty fucking sick. There is an insane lineup of bands that are playing. The two that stand out for me are, well, there's three that stand out, but two are homies, being Indie Dog and Crash and Void. Both artists that have been on this platform before. The last time Indie Dog played Misty Waters, Seb climbed the scaffolding with a flare. I'm not exaggerating. I'll find a video. Apparently, he gave the organizers insurance nightmares. But it is also being headlined by Fuck Off Policicard, which is really fucking cool. It's going to be my first time seeing Fuck Off live. I'm super stoked for it, especially after having just done so much fucking research on that band and their history. So it's like a full circle moment for me. I will be dropping a kind of a review or something, just my experience at Misty Waters. I'm going to be there as a cameraman, so I'm going to be filming anyway. So yeah, if you enjoyed the Ramfest video, this is going to be something that's in a similar context. One last thing that I wanted to touch on, a bit of news within the scene. So, a little while back in 2023, there was a rock metal, like an open air fest that was happening, and there were a ton of bands that were playing that. I mean, you'll recognize some of these. Poster Boy was on that lineup. The Focolordi was on that lineup. Sunken State, Facing the Gallows, Middle Grounds. There was a ton of bands on this lineup. And long story short, basically no one got paid. This festival happened. I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied. But this festival happened, and there was a huge controversy behind the organizer with this, a guy named Brad. And yeah, it obviously left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. It left a lot of people really fucking upset. But recently, the Doors nightclub has been taken over recently with a new manager. Good God. The Doors nightclub has recently been taken over again. Managey. That's a new fucking word for me.
Managey.
Managey. Yeah, so the Doors nightclub, which is a legendary sort of brand of like, or legendary name within especially like the early 2000s, late like early 2010s alternative crowd. Um, they'll remember that particular venue. It's under new management now, and what they have done is they've done a public pledge to the South African music community. They've signed a public pledge committing 20% of all Doors nightclub events profits towards repaying the bands that are owed for the SA Open Air Rock Festival in 2023. So any events that you see that are being hosted by these guys, the ideal goal is to have 20% of those profits go back to paying those bands that were never paid in 2023. Now, this is obviously a super wholesome thing. This is something that people, you love to see it. The unfortunate reality is that the dude who was involved in this fuck up happening is involved in this pledge as well, and that has made a lot of people extremely unhappy. Especially my favorite comment here being from Regan, saying, "Get rid of Brad. That's your cancer. After the shit he posted online, that dude is trash. How about I take 20% off the slap I'll give him when I see him, seeing as we're being so charitable here." Okay.
What did Brad post?
I don't. This is the thing, is I don't know. This is obviously. I'd have to ask Regan about it.
If anyone knows and you're watching this, leave it in the comments, please.
Obviously, Regan remembers because Regan still wants to kill him. You and I have had an experience with Brad, actually.
We have?
Yes. Do you remember that one? Okay, so there were two incidents that we experienced with Brad. There was a show just before the second lockdown happened. We went up to Joburg to play at Rumors in the West Rand with Hate Speech.
And it was during lockdown.
Yeah, or like lockdown. The second lockdown was just about to happen. Like we found out the day before that it was going to come into effect as we were going up. Okay. And we played to basically us, Hate Speech, and the other band that was there, and like maybe 4 people.
Yes, I remember. That was Brad.
That was Brad. Okay. And then there was that incident before we knew the Sunken State boys, and he wanted to organize a tour with us in Sunken State. And do you remember this? And then this poster suddenly went up live on the internet. We were like, okay, what's happening? Only for the Sunken State boys to be like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, we don't know you. We don't know what this is. Dude. Why the fuck is our name? Why the fuck is our name on this tour poster? And we're like, we're just as like,
he's the radio guy. He's the radio dude, right? He's got like some radio show thing.
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, this is the same person. And if I'm not mistaken, we were approached about playing this festival as well. And because of those two prior experiences, we were like, I don't think so.
We were just like, nah.
Yeah. Because for us, it wasn't worth traveling up to Joburg for this. Having our own experiences, and then this whole fucking thing happened.
That dude was a snake oil merchant, bro.
I remember us all having like not a great feeling about him.
Yeah.
I'm 100% for this movement. You know, the person who is behind this, the person who is behind this pledge. I agree with Regan that he shouldn't be anywhere near it. But what she is doing is extremely noble and is extremely charitable. And like, I 100% support trying to stick through with that. I want to give like benefit of the doubt that those bands will receive the money that is owed to them. If I'm not mistaken, I've heard stories that some bands have been receiving payments. If you're a band that has received a payment from this whole ordeal and from this pledge, give us a shot, let us know. But yeah, I thought that was something that was worth talking about as well.
And before anyone threatens to send any lawyers here, I just want to put it out there that these are facts. This actually happened. This isn't slander against anyone's name. This isn't these things happen. There's proof of these things having happened. I'm kind of tired of people coming and threatening to sue when there are no grounds. So if Brad is watching this, or if anyone is watching this and like, these guys, this is defamation, please come. Please come, please. I beg you, come.
Us talking about our personal experience with you is not defamation.
Just getting it out the way.
But yeah, that's it from me, dude. I don't know about you. I think you're also all good on topics at this point.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to thank everyone who's been supporting our YouTube channel. It's something that we started really late into Sludge Underground, but the support has been amazing, especially this month. The growth is really awesome. One thing that I do want to ask people if they can do, and obviously, if you haven't checked out, we've got a store where all our merch is sort of up there, and we're going through Merchbox as well, which is another platform or entity that is part of the scene and is basically doing some really sick prints for just bands and people in the alt space, designers, tattoo artists, everything. So you aren't only supporting us by getting merch, but you're also supporting another brand as well that is sort of putting back into the scene. Something that Sash has been, sort of asking us to sort of plug is obviously our flip. What is it even called, bro?
A Buzzsprout like the support like pledge fee, or fee is the wrong word.
If you feel like what we are doing is something that you love and you feel like you want to support us in some way, check that out. We'll leave it as one of the first links, and then you'll decide if you do want to, chime in like that. But it's something that definitely benefits us because we this was an entity that earns nothing at all. Everything or anything that does come in, basically goes back into what we're doing, which means that we're able to then give you guys the interviews and episodes like this. So if you are in a position to do that, check it out. Link is in the description.
And yeah, I'm going to be at Misty Waters this weekend. If you're going to be at Misty Waters, you'll probably find me very close to a stage with a camera. Come say hi. Come let me know. Talk to me, please. I need friends.
Sweet. And if you're going to be at Venom tomorrow evening in Durban at the Werehouse, not the Westville Warehouse, but this new warehouse that we're going to be sort of having the event at, do come through. I'm going to be there shooting Sludge quickies. So if you want to make an appearance, come through. If you want to say hi, let's hang, let's do it. And yeah, so I suppose this is it for this April's GroundUp. Thank you for tuning in. It's been Nasiphi and Marcel, and we're signing out. Peace.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Drink.